Hey everyone, let's talk about the Neat Preview channel firmware. We initially released this on the 4th of July. It included some new updates which we'll take you through, and we had a new update also this week. So drop 2 of the preview, so again it included some more bug fixes in the platform. Also new features. We advise you to use this in your test environment, test it out, see how it goes. You go through your system software update and push it out there, but you can also do it through Pulse as well. So if you've got Neat Pulse management platform, you can then push that update through here. Here the software releases. Then we have obviously new apps for Microsoft Teams Room, for example, the 2.2.2 build. That matches what's in Teams Admin Center today on there. So let's look at the first set of features. The Neat Pad with microphones. So this was announced day 0. We built the hardware, and in the hardware we had 2 microphones. Never enabled. However, the work with Neat Center has now enabled us to use this audio over IP, essentially. Is passing it across the network, so your device must be on the network. Can't be on Wi-Fi, and the bar, board, etc. must be wired as well. How do you get to it? So simply into the audio and video settings, and then you choose Neat Pad microphones. Remember, this is beta, and this is really designed for those small rooms that are acoustically challenged. If need be, obviously you can then go to Neat Center. Neat Center then uses the audio built in, the 16 mics in here, but that also does dynamic audio switching, so between the center and the front of room device. That isn't there on Neat Pad yet, it's just Neat Pad, that's where your audio is. Great new feature, so feel free to test that out on there. And again, compatible with all the devices, Neat Bar, Neat Bar Pro, Neat Bar Gen 2, board and board 50. And again, must be paired at a Neat level, and also this must be on Ethernet, no Wi-Fi. So a few little caveats there that will improve over time as well. So it's not instant when you turn it on. It takes a minute or two to initialize and set up, and then they will go live on there. And a new feature for BYOD. So we've had BYOD in the products. We introduced that probably about a year, 18 months ago. However, we've made some tweaks to the plumbing underground, should we say, on how you enable it as well. What we have done here, when you do the out-of-box experience, you get the option now to choose BYOD only. So you'll no longer have an empty Zoom splash screen or Microsoft Teams login page if you're using it for BYOD only. It will go to BYOD only. You turn that on, and then the front of room display will show you, based on your device type, a splash screen, and that's it. Very simple. Walk in, plug in your device. So actually what I'm doing today is I'm actually recording on a Neat Bar 2 through my laptop using the mic, camera and speakers through here. Another feature we've added is the ability to control the Neat Center framing boundary. So previously we had the front of room, been able to control that width and depth. We've now got the diameter from the Neat Center. So the minute you touch diameter, this front of room display shows the Neat Center cameras, and here you can choose that diameter to make it tight around the table on there. Another new feature here is the ability to use USB extenders in the system settings. This is also a new option that we also have for BYOD mode as well. So we have manual, so I can slide out the menu, and now I can choose manual, so it'll force it into BYOD mode. Auto is what we had already, means if you're not on a call it would go in there to BYOD mode. But now, when you're in a call, it would obviously just present. Now we have this manual mode that you have to enforce to turn on the mics and cameras. Otherwise, if you plug in, you'll get presentation. And then on a Bar Pro, for example, you can use audio over USB. And then also on a Bar 2, you can use peripheral devices, i.e. a touchscreen on there. So that's that third option. So remember, you can't use BYOD and a touchscreen, or BYOD and audio over USB. It's either or. And now we also support USB extenders. So when you exit BYOD mode, it will disable that 5-volt sync. So it will always then exit BYOD mode as soon as you disconnect. So some manufacturers don't do that. So hence why we put that helper in there for you to do that. There's so many USB extenders out there, or IP extenders, HDBaseT extenders, etc. Docking stations that people use. So give it a try and see how it's working out for you on there. And here's a new enable disable the active signal over HDMI. So when we send a device to sleep, it would send an on signal, so a black image to the screen. We've now made it possible to make this inactive when it goes to sleep. So it's just another option for power saving, sleep mode, etc. And obviously it'll then wake up automatically as well. This is available for Neat Bar Pro and board 50. It's not available on Neat Bars, Bar 2s and boards. So there we have that sleep signal. So it'll keep the HDMI signal on when the device goes to sleep. So if you are showing something on the screen that you need to show, then it gives you that option for more granular control. We then have the ability to unpair a neat pad. So again, this is really more for a neat board. So you want to pair a board and a pad together, but you maybe take that pad off. Not everyone wants it for that certain meeting room environment. You're moving the board around. This allows you then to simply unpair the pad without having to do a factory reset of both. So again, this was introduced for Neat Center that you can easily unpair and move it around to another device. This then unpairs a pad from a board. And again, it restores the pad then to factory settings, so it's ready for out of box, and then move it to another device. So as I mentioned with the USB mode for BYOD, we have a new slider in the menu to slide out, and we'll show you that in the live demo that we'll do right after this. Let's dig into a live demo of the new features. We can use Neat Pulse for this. Actually, I've got a tab open here. So here's my MTR. Let's go into our settings and device settings, and we can show off some of the new features that we have. So first up is mics and the pads. So under audio and video, Neat Pad microphones. Now, once I enable that, obviously then the microphones and the pad will be used. However, on this system, I have my Neat Center paired. So obviously I cannot do that. So again, when you toggle that on, take a minute or two to be recognized and set up. Then you will, in your call, it will use the microphones and the pads. The speakers will still be the bar, the board, etc. However, Neat Center, that takes priority, uses the microphones in the Neat Center, but also that has dynamic audio switching, so it uses the bar as well. So again, the microphones and the pad are for those smaller rooms that you probably want to have an extra microphone in, or the acoustics are bad. So that's where that will come in. While I'm here, let's show framing boundary. So you'll see behind me, we've got the front of room bar pro, sorry. It can see Ant and Deck, the cardboard cutouts there. However, I've got my Neat Center. So this is the new framing boundary. And when I hit that now, it instantly switches to my center. So again, if I move around now, move it back, I'm out of the boundary. Very, very simple boundary setup. And when I go back to press the other ones, then it jumps back there. So really nice ability to switch and change and focus on that boundary around your room from the let's call it the bowling alley, but also from the device itself. Next up we have in the system menu, this is where now the audio, USB, etc. So again, depending if you've got bar pro, obviously on bar pro we can do external audio. That's where I have this here. Actually, I was testing here yesterday, connecting up my Shure Move mics, for example. So being able to have portable microphones on your lapel walking around the room. So another use case for audio over USB with Shure. So obviously, conference room, you'd use something like a Shure P300 or one of the other bundles that we have working with Shure. I was using Move mics, so for example, I was able to move around freely. My audio was coming out from the microphones. However, then you've got a speaker issue then if you do that sort of thing. So when you do connect to the device, you've got to think mics and speakers, because when we enable this toggle, audio over USB, everything is offloaded today. The reason why you have peripheral could be because you want a touchscreen. So you want to link it to that front of room touch display. So you'll have peripheral mode and then toggle USB off. Today, what we would have is auto BYOD. That's what we had today, where you plug in, it would go into BYOD mode. And when you're in a call, it would just present. So that's if you're using something like one of these docks or extenders. People are using other HD-based-T extenders where it's bringing the USB and HDMI across over Cat5, Cat6. Other customers are using things like docking stations, so putting that docking station under the desk. So you're presenting one cable at the desk doing charge, USB and HDMI. What we've now done is enabled, so again, when you slide out the menu here, you see just your framing options. With new manual mode, this then allows you to choose when you want to go into BYOD mode. So if you're using that, again, single cable out of a dock, it will always present. Now, when we slide out the menu and we hit BYOD mode, it now enters BYOD mode. So now the controller tells you, the front of room display splash screen tells you, connect your cables. That's new manual BYOD mode. You do your call and you disconnect. So actually that's how I'm running this recording. Actually, my Neat Bar 2 is connected to my MacBook, and we are using the mic, camera, and speakers from now. So that's the options now that you have in the slide out menu for BYOD mode. The other option there is to use the HDMI extenders. Not all extenders send the signal to say, hey, I'm disconnected. So now we've enabled that in there. So once we see the you exit BYOD mode, we drop in any active connections and link to the BYOD mode. So if you're using those extenders or hubs, etc., that have an issue with keeping the connection open, then make sure you toggle your USB extender on. And as you'll see here, software update is grayed out. That's now because with the Pulse, we have the new managed software updates. That's part of our paid packages. So being able to granularly define and update and manage your devices on there. So no one can update it through here. You have to do it through Pulse. And probably another feature that was released in the previous version actually was the ability for custom host names. So this was in the previous release, or actually in the current release, that you can use DHCP option 12 to push out that host name, or you can go into the web configuration. So if you enable remote access on here, you can then go into the device and go to the web page and set that. So you can see here 68.17, let's do a live demo. So we log into the browser and whatever password you've set up in remote access. So we go to network and host name, and this is where you can configure that custom host name. So just giving you more options, configurability for the devices on there. And again, within the web interface, you can do that. Audio USB, voice isolation. So again, all these settings will eventually be in Pulse, so you can do everything from Pulse. And as you notice, music mode has been moved away from the controller and into the web page because people were turning that on and you're getting raw audio, lots of background noise, should we say. So we've taken that away. And one thing we've noticed recently as well is your time servers. Make sure you're able to reach those time servers, or you set up your own time servers, whether it's IP or DNS. Make sure it's all working. We've seen some pairing issues in the past with that on there. And let's just double check, is that everything in the preview? So we can go here, double check, preview firmware. Have we covered everything? So we've talked about, we've got all the latest apps, BYOD mode, the framing boundary, USB extenders. Oh, the active signal. So that feature. So under display, so you can see the HDMI sleep signal. So when this is on, it will keep the signal to on, whereas previously it would have sent go off. So if I turn that on, there you go. So it will keep the signal alive. So if you have something there in the background, or you have some weird CEC control issues, then obviously you can use that on there. So again, option, don't have to use it on there. And again, another great feature that was released in the current build was HDMI screen mirroring. So mirroring what you see on screen 1 to screen 2. A couple of use cases for that. One is for duplicating a repeater screen, for example. You want another screen down the further end of the table, and you don't need to use blisters, etc. You can just plug it into HDMI 2 and mirror that. Also for hearing augmentation systems, again, audio is being pushed over that HDMI 2, so you can then connect that through. So lots of different options there for that. So it's a great feature included in the current release. That is it. Obviously, we've got the Unpair menu. That's on a board if you had that. So there we have all the features on Neat OS 24.4. New release this week, so there's other improvements as well. So for direct guest join, there's been some echo issues when you join a Zoom or WebEx. So for example, new feature actually coming up very soon, join by Meeting ID for Zoom and Teams. And obviously you can see in the background, I've got custom wallpapers there. Won't show you that. There's pictures online and guides within the Microsoft 365 Message Center showing you this. We'll cover that separately. But what we have is the ability now to do all the echo, to use the Neat hardware processing while you're in that direct guest join call for Zoom and WebEx. Also, another fix that dropped this week in the current preview is supporting 90p resolution for WebEx. So when you share your call, it goes to smaller video. You want seeing video. There are also some video freezing. So we're working with WebEx on addressing all those issues. So the video at 90p is fixed in this new preview. Another weird issue we've seen is when you hit mute or you join a call, you don't get audio. You have to mute the video and unmute again. So we're working with the WebEx team on that to see what might be happening there. Feel free to go and update your systems, have a play with it, and let us know any questions. Thanks very much.